Welcome everybody to the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. My name's Scott and I'm joined by Stephen. Good morning, Stephen. How are you today?
Good morning to you too, Scott. I'm very well. Glad to be here.
That is great. I understand that we're going to be looking at the image manager today. So how can you use the image manager?
Yeah, that's right, Scott. Images, as people say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and images create an appeal, make diagrams compelling, create meaning. So there's lots of advantages of including that in. And quite often in my consulting work, I visit clients and see that their diagrams are just using the standard language presentations, the rectangles and the diamonds and things. And it's much better if you can include some images into your work. We're going to have a look at the image manager, but first let's do what we always do, is focus our attention on our tasks at hand by setting the perspective. I've been doing some work with Archimate this morning, but we need to focus on the UML. So I'm going to select the UML all perspective for both structural and behavioral diagrams. The focus of the application conveniently changes so that I can concentrate on that work. Let's have a look at a diagram first. We're going to use the navigation icons here to navigate to the diagram that I'm interested in. So we're going to click on structural and we're going to look at the deployment model. I'm just going to tuck my toolbox away to give me a little bit more room. Deployment diagrams, like database diagrams, often are quite large. We're just going to use the chevron here and hide that toolbox away for a moment. So there we have it, and I can use the pan and zoom window there to zoom, pan in and zoom a little bit on the diagram. There it is.
Is it easy to get that toolbox back?
Yeah, just the click of a button, Scott. Just chevron back again. Yeah, so no panic there. It's right at your fingertips, just tucked away for getting a little bit more diagram real estate. So here we have a deployment diagram. Now, what I want to show you is I'm going to drop another element onto this diagram, and I'm going to choose something from our structural model and our class model. Let's choose let's have a look here, and we'll choose a vehicle. So the parking whole system is largely to do with vehicles. Let's just put a vehicle on there, drop it as a link, and on it goes. And let's do a couple of things on that. It's saying that it's from the class model there, Scott. There's a number of options in the properties window. I'm going to disable fully scoped object names, and you notice that pops that away. It means I can have that on there. And I'm also going to I'm going to hide the attributes. I'm not interested in the attributes on this diagram. I've just right mouse click on the element, compartment visibility, and you can see that none of those things are selected. And the reason for that is that the diagram itself has got the compartment visibility set. So nothing under the hood there with that vehicle, pardon the pun. Let's go to the compartments here and turn off attributes on the entire diagram. So if it goes, we can resize this element a little bit now, and let's connect it to the parking meter. So pop my toolbox back again, use the association connector, connect it up there, and let's hide that again. Now that comes in as a plain looking element. Now, what I've got here on the appearance menu, and we're going to get to the image manager soon, Scott. We're just going to do a couple of things before that to show how the appearance works. If I say I want to change the appearance, let me do something first. I'm just going to change it with the layout ribbon, and I'm going to just choose a different color there. And you can see that changes the color of it. But what I want to do is we'll have a look at another diagram, and we'll open up another example of the deployment model. And the modelers here have done a payment focused model. So let's open that one up, and you can see that this one doesn't have any pictures on it, doesn't have anything on it. Let's drag that same element onto the diagram, the vehicle, and let's link that up. Now notice again, we have the same situation. We've got the class vehicle thing there. We've got the attributes. Let's click in our diagram canvas. Let's turn the attributes off again. So that's specific for each diagram. And let's go to the diagram properties again and fully scoped object names. Do that So there we've got our vehicle, and remember on the other one I reshaped it a little bit. But notice, Scott, it's the same element in the project browser. Both of them I dragged from the project browser. This one's got a local coloring vehicle, and this one doesn't. So
you can have multiple diagrams with different look and feels.
Exactly, Scott. So this one here has got the smartphone, and if I look at that and find that in various diagrams, so I right mouse click and say find in all diagrams, you can see that it's in this other deployment model. So just to prove that I'm not, doing anything, haven't got anything up my sleeve, that is the element there. So it's the same element. It's represented with an image on this one, but it's represented in its standard UML form with a device in a cuboid sort of shape. Yeah. So let's do something else. Let's go back to our deployment model and let's turn this color off for a moment, and let's do something else. Let's go to our appearance menu and set the default appearance. So this brings up a dialog box. Let's change the background color. Let's change it to something else this time. We'll go for blue there, and the border. Let's go for a dark blue there. The border width, let's leave that at 2 for the moment, and we could set the font as well. So let's just look at that, and we'll say that we want it, it's at the moment bold. Let's change it to a different font there and raise the font level a little bit there. Let's go OK to that, and you can see that the element fill color's changed, the border color's changed, the font has changed as well. Now let's have a go back now and have a look at this one, and some magic has happened. Well, I call it magic because the tool is doing this work for you without you having to do anything. So setting the default for an element means that wherever else you use it, it will have that appearance. And so you need to make a decision as a modeler or as a team about whether you want to set those defaults and whether you want them looking the same, because that is a very powerful thing. That you get the consistency across all of your diagrams. But there might be occasions when you don't want to do that, when you say, no, I want to have a different appearance.
So I take it in your consulting practice, sometimes there might be some business users that will want a diagram to look more visually appealing and to be simpler from a visual perspective, and you might have more technical customers that just want to see the spec and see the interactions. So that might be a situation where you have differences, and there might be some other things that you want consistency across the entire enterprise.
That's exactly right, Scott. So under the hood, what's happening is that the element that's in the project browser is the element in the repository. When we put it onto a diagram, it's actually like a kind of an object of the diagram. It's a diagram object rather than being the actual element itself. But when we set that default appearance, we do that. Now what happens if I select this one here and say, look, I want to select a local appearance, and I'll go back to that green. So now it's green. Now what do we expect is going to happen on the other one? So it's still the same. And if I was to put that onto a third diagram, it would go on as the blue color. It's just that the local diagram specific color overrides that one, which gives you the flexibility of saying, look, I want it in 9 of the diagrams, I want it to be the same, but in this one, I want it to be different. So I can turn that off at any point and say, look, let's go to the default color, and the default pops up. Now, I just wanted to show you that in a simple way, Scott, because we're going to use a similar kind of thing with the image manager. So what is the image manager? Well, right from the word go, Enterprise Architect has been focused on presenting a tool to present diagrams to a wide range of audiences, as you indicated with your example of business users, technical users, engineering users, the CX level, CXOs, the Chief Financial Officer, Chief Technical Officer, all want to have a view of the diagram. So with that in mind, let's go back and have a look at our deployment model and say, look, this is a lot softer as a diagram. We can see that, what we're talking about here, it looks like a smartphone app. We can see this looks like a parking meter, and this looks like some sort of administration notebook interface that, someone's managing those things. So how do we do this? And we've got some databases here that are showing some, your canonical cylinder if you like, for the database with some icons that are representing a particular type of database. So it softens the diagram. How did we do this? Well, let's go and have a look at the image manager. It is under the settings ribbon, and here we have the reference data panel. Now, we have come across this before in another video when we were talking about UML types, but let's have a look at images. So if I click on this one here, you can see that a dialog box pops up and it's got an image manager. And this has got a number of elements in it, and that we've used these. Now, there's a small number in here, Scott, and if this is an example database, we're going to build this up today as well. But any organization can create their own images, and we'll show how you can use some of the system images in a little bit. Yep. So we can use any of these. So
are those images stored in the repository, or are they stored on the network separate to the repository?
Fantastic question, Scott. No, they are right inside the repository. So any user that comes along is able to use these, which is exactly what you want. You want people to be reusing the images, creating a consistent, compelling view of the elements in your repository. So let's have a look at this. There's a view thing there, a view option there. There's usage. I can pop that up and find out where it's used. So that's a useful thing to do. And you can see that was, if I look at that again, that was that deployment diagram that we had it on, the deployment model. And the element name is the parking meter. And I can update the selected one, and I can add a description. And we'll look at this in another video, convert to image assets, Scott. So we're not going to talk about that this morning, but what we can do is add new things from a file. So let's do that now. I've got an image that I'm interested in here. I'm just going to drag it onto the screen over here. So I've created an image in here, a PNG file, and Enterprise Architect deals with a number of different files. But there's a image of a vehicle, and it's called car front blue. That naming convention is quite useful. It's the first thing is it's a car, someone's looking for it. It's a front view of the car, and it's blue. So let's have a look at importing an image. And what I can do, actually, let me put that back on, and I'll show you two different ways of doing it. What I'm going to do is selecting this. I'm going to say Control A inside this little paint application and Control C. So I've copied that into my clipboard, and now I can just simply go here and say Add New from Clipboard. I get the opportunity to label it. I am going to put a label in it, and I'm going to put in car front blue, and I'll leave a ping off the end, and we'll say OK to that, and we've got our car image now inside the image manager. I'm going to say OK to that for the moment, and let's see how we can use this. Let's go to this diagram here, and if we right mouse click on this element and our friend the appearance, which we looked at before, now I'm going to say select an alternate image. When I do that, I can search through for a car and say, look, that's the one I want to use, and I'll go OK to that. You notice that comes in at a different size. You can size the images however large you want when you import them. I tend to do them a little bit larger because there are diagrams where I want that sort of resolution. I'm holding the Shift key down now, and I'm going to just resize that into something that is that size. Yeah.
Yep.
So now that's fantastic. I've overridden that default view with this image, but the default view is still there in the background. If I was to remove this image, that would come back again. Let's go and have a look at what's happened in our other diagram. Same. It hasn't changed because we set it as an alternate image. So let's go back now and do something else. And let's look at going back to our original diagram here. Let's do something different. We can look at this one here and choose the select alternate image again. Now this time I'm going to say none. I'm going to say no, I don't want an image on it. Say OK to that, and it's back to the default. Right. So that's a useful thing to do. Now what I'm going to do is right mouse click on there and say appearance, select a default image. So just as we did default appearance and we were able to set the fill color and the border, this one is different to the set alternate image. The set alternate image works at a diagram level and gives you the flexibility to create a different element on the diagram. So you saw that we changed it on this diagram as an alternate image, but it didn't change on the other one. Let's
Where
select,
the default, I assume, is a model default.
yeah, let's have a look and see what happens. So we're going to choose that one again. Going to go okay to that. We've got that in there. We're going to resize that one. So very, very quick little step there, Scott. Save the diagram, come in here, and there we have it. So, and you know, I can change the shape of the icon. That car looks a little bit more sporty there, Scott.
Yeah.
So you can change the look of that. So let's have a look and see if we can work out what's going on here. So this smartphone on this diagram is exactly the smartphone that's on that one. So you know, I can
that must be an alternative image.
Yeah, well picked up, Scott. That's an alternate image. So we could put a different alternate image onto the other one. We can look at this one and say, look, no, let's go quickly go into our alternate image. Let's just set a default image there, and we'll choose that parking meter. Actually, which one was it? It's the smartphone parking meter app. Yeah, and so we'll set that as that one. So now that's been as the default. Now when we come over here, but I haven't, underneath this, if I turn that off, it would still be that same image on this diagram, but not on the other one. Now, Scott, if I wanted to, let me have a look at something. If I wanted to, I could set a different image, and I'm just going to drag another image onto the screen and show you something else. We've been working on the parking meter app, and the other interface didn't have anything that was indicating the tap, that's governed by the near field communication system when you'll be able to tap with a smartphone or a credit card. So we wanted to be able to show that. And so we've got a slightly different meter. So this was a different version of the meter. And so again, let's do that same thing. I can import it from the file. So I've got the opportunity to import it from a file as well. But I find it much easier when I'm looking at these images, just to Control A there on that image, Control C to copy, and let's go into our image manager there. And, you know, let's look at adding from a clipboard one as well. And let's put this one as the smartphone app and tap. So there we have it, smartphone app and tap. Let's go okay to that. And now you can see that one's there as well. So it's in the, and I can view it there, Scott, by just clicking that button and get a slightly, clearer view of what's going on. Say okay to that. Now, even though that's the default image, someone says in this one, let's do something different. Let's put an alternate view on this one. And so we go into our appearance and we select alternate image, and we're going to select that one with the tap on it. So we'll go okay to that. That one's there. Resize it a little bit, and we're good to go. And if I go back to this one, it hasn't changed that one. So exactly the same thing with the server. Let's just do this one quickly with this database. See how quick it is to do. Right mouse click, appearance, select default image, and let's choose our blue database. Go okay to that. Again, we've got the option of having a larger image if we want. Let's have that one. And when we go back into this one hasn't changed. But if I dropped the default appearance off, the alternate appearance off that would still be there. So that's how powerful the image manager is, Scott. And we have got some opportunity here. And when I start working with organizations, there's a couple of things that I do. The first one is that I talk to them about the importance of images and how they create a very different view for the audience. The other thing I talk about is the fact that there is on the Sparx Systems website a library of pre-built images that are very useful. So I'm going to show you that and how to import those as well. So let's have a look at that. And what I've done here is we'll just go and bring the help system up, and I'll show you how easy it is to do that. In fact, let's start the help system from the start ribbon so everyone's kind of clear about how to get to it. On the start ribbon, the help panel, I can go here and say open help. Now that's opened in another window, so I'm just going to bring that up for you. I've got another monitor there. Now I'm going to search. Let's search for image manager, because that's what we were doing.
Yep.
And it takes a little bit of time, Scott. There is, literally thousands and thousands of pages in the help, and I encourage anyone that wants to learn how to use the tool effectively to use the help. It's a very well written thing. Using the image manager, there we go. That's exactly what we want. Describes a bit about the image manager. That's useful. Gives you the access, how to access it. And down the bottom here, we've got a add images. Let's have a look at that. See whether that's the one that we want. Using the image manager, and we want to look at something about importing images here. So let's see if we can find.
If you go back one up the top, it had a link to importing. So if you scroll up the top.
Oh, I just missed it, did I, Scott? You import image library. Yeah, well picked up. Sometimes when you're presenting, you can skip over the top of things. So there is a list of things on that side there that are relevant to the particular topic. Add new there. Quite often those things are down the bottom as well. So don't be fooled as well. Come down and look at that one there as well. So import an image library. Okay, so download the image library from the Sparx Systems website onto your browser. So there it is there, and I've actually done that, Scott. I've actually downloaded that one, and I'll just click on it so that you can see what's going on. So this brings up a page, and what we can do here is go download, save link as, and that will download the image library. So I've done that, and let's see how that's going to work. So we go to our.
Is that image library free, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, it's that's one of the great things about Enterprise Architect. Low cost option, lots of things that are available as extra functionality, and that's one of them. To import this, we use our friend from the settings window, and we look at the reference data panel in settings, and we look at the transfer item there, and we go import reference data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the file, and that's popped up in another screen, and I'm going to let me just show you what that looks like, so you can see that I'm not doing any magic. That's the image library there that I downloaded, image library EA12. So I'm going to just select that, go open there, and you can see here that it pops up as being select the data sets to import. So there might have been multiple data sets in that file. There is actually only one. It's the model images. And let's import that. And it's complete. Let's go back now and have a look at our image manager. Again, from the same ribbon. Now, you can see there's lots and lots more images in here. A convenient thing to do, to get familiar with this is just to select an item and then use the down arrow key on your keyboard. And you can see that flicking through all those images, there's a large number of images. They range from all the arrow types there, which are useful, to people, parking, boom gate, carton. There's our friend, the car that we did earlier. There's another car, the type there, red car. So there are lots of different items there. And let's use a couple of these. So, there's a whole range of them. You can see there, mobile phone devices and packaging, payroll. So there's business and technical ones, reports, reception, someone at a in a call center, satellite dish. So lots and lots of things there. Let's have a look and see again how we use it. It's the same process, Scott. Nothing different. But let's have a look at it, and let's have a look and see. This gateway perhaps on this thing here, maybe this application server. Let's look at that and let's change the icon on that. So we know how to do that. We go to the appearance menu. Let's do it as an alternate image. And now we can just, I just hit SE for server on my keyboard, and that brings me down to that level. And look, I've got a whole range of different servers that I can pick from, certificate servers, all sorts of things. I'm gonna look at this one and think that it's a, let me have a look at what I want. So we've got these server ones. Maybe it's a server proxy, could be. And, I can flick through them and choose, the one that I want. It's a database server, server cloud. I think that's the one that I'm going to choose. And all I do is go okay to that. Again, the images are large so that you can put them into different sizes. Holding my shift key down, I can get that into a more sensible shape if I want. And using my alignment there, I can just align these guys up on the layout ribbon, and everything's good to go. So, Scott, that's the image manager, and you can see how powerful that is. The other opportunity that you've got is, I do a lot of work in environmental science and scientific work, and people don't realize that enterprise architect can be used in a huge range of different spaces, from engineering and strategy and database management and AI and all sorts of things. Well, one of the areas that can be used in is in environmental science, for example. Now, I work with a number of agencies here in Australia, and we do work where we need to be representing things like solar panels, floods that are resulting from climate change and things. And so we can represent all those as images. And I encourage people, if they're working in a particular domain, like we are in that one, we import all sorts of images that allow us to represent those particular things in our work. So you could be working in an engineering field and employing, bringing in, could be automotive engineering, it could be, rolling stock for train systems, brake parts, all sorts of things images that you could bring in to soften your diagrams, create more compelling stories for your users.
It certainly helps bring the stories to life. So rather than just having grey boxes, I can see now that there's a vehicle and there's a server and there's a parking meter, and I can see the NFC control on the parking meter. So it helps convey a lot more information than a boring grey box.
Yeah, but Scott, there are, as always, occasions when the simple box is very useful as well, particularly if you're wanting to display component information, such as attributes and receptions and operations, and so
and that all depends on the audience.
Exactly.
So a different audience will have different needs.
Exactly.
I know sometimes all programmers want to see is the grey box with the attributes and operations.
Yeah,
but sometimes the C-suite want to see how it all fits together and how it tells a story. So
yeah, and particularly useful for things like a solution architecture diagram as well, because it brings those to life as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. I'd like to encourage all of our audience on the Sparx Systems YouTube channel to like, subscribe and comment. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like to tell us about some of the videos that you've seen, please feel free to comment down below. My name's Scott. It's been great to have you here again, Stephen, showing us how to bring diagrams to life using the image manager. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing some more videos in the future.
Always a pleasure, Scott.